Okay, our first movement is the hardstyle of swinging a kettlebell. Demonstrate a few first. So there's a whole lot that goes into this movement, but we're going to keep it fairly simple. Some of the key points are keeping the back straight. So as I'm doing the movement here, I'm not rounding at all at the bottom, which is in contrast to the GS movement we'll be getting into shortly. But with starting with both hands, you can just think of it as doing a sort of a deadlift. So from here, this is how I'll typically start people out. Make sure they can do this. This body posture at the top, that's going to be the swing movement. This is a little different at the bottom, but just get used to doing this. From here, you can swing the kettlebell back and then start swinging. With this movement, it's driven by the hips. You'll notice as I come back, it's not really a squat and it's not completely a hinge. You can change that up depending on what you're going for. So if I want to exaggerate the hinge that is creasing at the hips, the swing will look like this. And if I do it more squat style, now both these do work and you can do them. I tend to go with more of a hinge style because it's a little less work than having to squat down. If you want to emphasize your legs more, then by all means go with the squat style. Also, sometimes when you're doing the juggling, you're going to need to utilize more of the legs in the movement. So once again, it's a little bend in the knees and a fair amount of bend in the hips as you load back here. So the tension should be coming onto your butt, not really on your back at all. And from here then, you're acting as if you're jumping, getting that same explosive amount forward. At the top, your knees will be locked out. They don't need to be hyperextended or anything, but they are going to get into locked out position. If you keep your knees bent, you can't really get the hips open at the top. And you really want to work on getting that snapping movement into it. So the driver is the hamstrings, the glutes are really propelling the kettlebell up and forward. So that's the basics of it. The breathing with this, we're doing a braced form of breathing. So as you're coming down, you're breathing air in. This helps create that virtual belt so you're less likely to hurt yourself. And you're timing that out explosive breath with the snap. It's not out at the top of the movement, but right when you're really going into the snap. So the kettlebell's usually about here, so the breath is following through to the end. So that's a two-hand version. Everything applies when you switch to one hand. The other hand is kept free. You can place it on your hip. You don't really want to place it on the leg because then you're using it for support there. Usually I'll just keep it free, and it can also mirror the movement. Helps time it with the rest of the body, just following the other arm. So those are the basics. Do a couple more from the front. Another characteristic of the RKC style is you want to not let the arm out. If you have the arm extended, then the kettlebell is away from your body. It can also end up jerking you, but you want to keep the lat activated, pulling the arm back. It doesn't need to be completely rigid, but you do want to have it compacted back a little bit.